send me your skin routine, Lucy. I need it.
I will. I'll talk about it all day.
All right.
Let's do it. You look wonderful as well, Nancy.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well,
how long is this, by the way? It's like an hour?
Yeah, we'll be.
I have to be off at
Send me your skin routine, Lucy.
6:58.
I need it.
I'll talk about it
At
all day.
what?
Huh?
We got an hour here, is that what you said?
Hey, Jesse,
Yeah.
I might have to like jump off 30 seconds before 7 because I have to be on something at.
No worries. No worries. Yeah. We'll wrap it up before 7. All right. We'll
jump off like 45 minutes before 7.
Lanar, I want your skincare routine. Your skin looks good.
The cocoa butter is
Really? My skin is better?
all right.
Hi,
Well,
Greg.
it was dewy.
Hi.
hey, Greg.
Hi.
Hey, friend.
That's
Hey,
a
guys,
good
so
wrangling this.
We're live, so let's go ahead and just start. Does everyone just gotta introduce themselves, or maybe I'll do it real quick because no one knows who's wherever. But
I just arrived into Costa Rica, guys, by the way.
you're in Costa Rica.
I just arriving after one day traveling in all around the world, but I did.
He's home.
Motherfuckers!
Well, welcome back.
Wow, you're a rock star, man, for joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ladar.
I was rocking.
All right,
I was
well,
rocking. Greg boy!
What's up, Leg?
I don't think Lanar knows we're live.
yeah, later. All right, we're gonna start. All right, I'm Jesse Harris, the writer and director. We have Lucy Hale. We have Leonard Gomez. We have Nicholas Gonzalez. Where's Jorge? Jorge A. Jimenez. Oh, there he is. Sorry. Nancy Cartwright, one of our producers. Damiano Tucci, another producer. Monica Gil Rodriguez, another producer. We have Taylor Stewart and Andy Grush, who are the Newton brothers, the composers of the movie. We have Luis Caballar, our editor of the film. And I think that's it.
Greg boy's on there too.
Oh, sorry, Greg. Sorry, I didn't see you were showing up. Greg Loretano, another one of our producers who really got it all going from Lucy. Yeah, so we're going to take some questions, add your questions in the chat field, and we'll get them. And then we're going to bring a few people on to join the conversation. Actually, why don't we do that first? So we have someone, Marianne, she's from France. The film just came out today in France, so you can rent it and stream it there. Marianne, she's there. Can you hear us, Marianne?
Hi.
I know you.
Bonjour!
It's so nice to see you. Sweet girl.
Nice to see you too.
Aw, welcome.
Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, welcome. So do you have a question for someone up here, or? Yeah, go for it.
First, I wanted to know what was the most interesting thing about playing in this movie as an actor. Was the emotions, was the action, was the story? What was the most interesting thing?
Sweet
So
girl.
nice to see you too.
Oh, we got feedback. That was weird. That's a great question. Who wants to go first?
Go for it, Lucy.
Take it away, Lucy.
Lucy.
For me, excuse me, and I've said this a million times in interviews about this movie, I was drawn to this project because it was going to be a challenge for me in all the ways, you know, mentally, emotionally, physically. But this script was very different from a lot of other scripts in the genre. It had, we're getting some weird feedback.
Yeah, sorry. If anyone has the stream open, just mute the audio coming in from the live stream.
Oh,
otherwise.
I was like, I'm hearing voices in my head.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, being challenged. But the script was so different because it had so much heart to it. And it was really grounded. The characters, you saw the humanity in all of the characters. And I thought it was just a really unique take on the genre. And sure enough, I was challenged physically. It was really hard running up those canyons and everything. And it was a nice challenge to have to go to the darker parts of myself to sort of discover who this character was. Thank you for the question.
Okay.
Leonard?
Leonard or Jorge or Nick?
Hey. Hi. The question was, what was the more difficult thing? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
like
What
I
drew
think
you to the script?
And what
Sorry?
what was the challenge as an actor for you in the movie? I think was kind of the question.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
that was it.
yeah, for me at least. Well, the way in the way that I was thinking about to try to acting next to my partners, because that was my first American film, and I was acting in English. Before that, I was acting in Spanish all the time. So for me, it was a little difficult because it was a special connection. I think I have a close connection with Lucy because was my. I mean, we were together most of the time, but something nice happened because I think we get like a connection through our eyes in the way that we were looking each other, and that was something nice because it's like we were using something more than words. We were using like the feeling, the mood that we had in that moment on the set, and it's something very important. Obviously, yes, it was giving us the directions, but I think was something very sensitive for me. Was very special, and at the same time was difficult because I was giving attention with the lines in English. It was something difficult for me. I changed my way to think about how played in a movie, thinking in English.
Okay.
Awesome. Nick, what about you?
Nick.
Nick, you with us? Or Jorge?
Next on mute.
I'm there. I'm on mute. The baby is screaming a little bit. The interesting thing for me, you know, I think like Lucy was saying, something that was a little out of your wheelhouse. I've still been getting used to playing an actor closer to my own age, you know, and having a teenage daughter. To me, I really wanted to investigate that relationship. And like she was saying, you know, the characters are just these very richly written and human portrayals. It just felt like a natural kind of style, you know, and it was something you just had to kind of just put yourself in the world and wind you up and let us go. And that's what I felt like you did. And so to me, that challenge was very quickly, you know, won over by when I met Olivia and we got to spend time and just kind of found a shorthand that I think really worked for the characters.
It's beautiful.
Awesome. Jorge, what about you? You want to share? And
Well, of course, the action was pretty cool. I like the action. I like, you know, driving and then getting on fire and killing people and all that. That's pretty cool to do. But like you guys were saying, I've done bad guys a lot of times, but this one was different than everything I've done because, like you were saying, the characters had a lot of heart, and there was something going on on their lives, something that you could notice on the acting, and that's what I like about my character. Even though it was bad, there was a purpose, and there was something that has to be done, and there was something going inside of him strong enough to make him do all these bad things he did. So I enjoy that. It's pretty cool as an actor to play with that.
awesome. Great. Well, Marion, we appreciate your joining us.
Thank you so much.
You missed one
And I
person.
love the
It had
movie.
the smallest part credited in the film. That probably took the most effort to create a character with only 6 lines. The effort that it took to create someone that only had that many lines, creating the hairstyle, the type of clothes, my teeth with the broken middle, the background of her drug-addicted, sad history, coming in to being able to put that all in, and the fact that Dr. Phil is my hero, I just want to say it's the most challenging part I believe I've ever had. Thank you for the opportunity, Jesse.
Yeah, you got that scene. We did a little like a preview screening with people in LA. That scene, that line got a big laugh. It was awesome.
Totally fine.
Biker number 1, right?
What was that, Nick?
Played biker number 1, right? Motocross.
Exactly. Yeah.
It disappeared into the park completely.
Awesome. Well, Maren, we'll let you go, but you can keep watching on the feed. And thanks for your support of the film.
I will.
The film is out, in France, so keep spreading the word.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
Marian.
you. Bye.
And
Awesome. We have one other person also from France, just about to join. We just added her.
And thank you for all the people from France, because I believe it's 4 in the morning in France right
Yeah,
now.
3 or 4 minutes. There it is. More-
Say merci. No, they say merci. They're not going to know what you say if you say thank you. They're gonna be like,
Welcome.
baby.
Morgana, is that your name?
Yeah.
So sorry. I don't
Morgan? How do you say your name for us?
I don't understand.
You don't know. How do you say your name?
Oh, Morgan.
Morgan. Okay. Thanks so much for joining. Yeah. What time is it in France right now?
It's 3 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So I go to school in 3 hours. So
Wow.
Wow. Well, we really appreciate you joining us.
thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, you have the cast here, a bunch of other filmmakers. Do you have a question specifically for anyone or everyone here?
Yes. What is your favorite scene to shoot?
What was your favorite scene to shoot? Who wants to take that one?
Why don't you answer, Jesse, and then we'll go.
Oh man. Well, favorite, the hardest scene to shoot, I think, was the scene where Lucy and Lena are walking through the desert and Lena collapses and Lucy kind of has that change, kind of takes control and changes the dynamic between the two. It's honestly one of the simplest scenes in the movie, but was one of the hardest because it was this horrible windy storm coming through basically. And like we were, we could barely stand up in the wind. It was crazy. Couldn't think or feel, but it was freezing at the same time, even though it was bright sunny out. And of course, like always, we were really rushed to get it done because it was, it's an indie movie, don't have much time and budget. But it ended up being one of my favorite scenes in the actual finished movie. Even though while shooting it, I was worried this was going to be a complete disaster, because you were just so, you couldn't even, the wind was just like making everyone just like not even able to think or do anything. So for me, that was just one of the hardest scenes, even though on paper it should have been one of the simplest. But I just loved, obviously Lucy and Lena are great in it, but I just love how it's just kind of this turning point in the movie and kicks off and changes the dynamic.
That ended up being one of my favorite scenes too. But favorite. I love the ending. It's so powerful. And it was just, I forget where we shot it in sequence. I feel like it was kind of towards the end of the shoot. I can't remember. Everything sort of blends together at some point, but like my character is at her lowest point, but she still has like enough strength to still like not save the day, but she still like has she gets a lot of her power back by the end of the movie, even though she's physically at her worst. Hi, Ethel. She's probably chewed up another highlighter on my couch. So yeah, I love the ending. We lit Jorge on fire and a stuntman on fire. That was crazy as hell to watch. Yeah, but I think that was probably one of my favorites.
I'm gonna agree there too. For me, that was probably one of the favorites.
Oh, in the moment with you and Alex, that was so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that moment. I just kind of, it was really easy to get in that place of, a dad driving upon that, that tableau and seeing you guys out there and thinking the worst. And, finding her alive was just it still gets me a little bit, so that was really fun to shoot. But again, all that action, I have some great shots that'll probably never see the light of day, Lucy, of you,
boy.
All like the mid, with the lighter. And there's so many cool little moments there.
Yeah.
That day was a fun one, I remember.
Oh, that was the day that I had to be on the ground and there was those little spurs in the ground and they were stuck all over my body. Does anyone remember that or just me? I remember that. It hurt.
Greg remembers.
Yeah.
I remember for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone sweep the desert.
Yeah. Or at least the spot I'm sitting on. It was fine. I dealt with it. Okay, I'm muting myself. Someone else.
Anyone else want to share a?
Leonard, you're muted.
Yeah, everyone just mute yourself when you're not speaking. Just otherwise, the camera on the live stream will go right to you, even if you're like background sound.
Leonard, you're on mute. You're on mute, buddy. You gotta unmute.
No te escuchas, Lena.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. My favorite, my favorite scene. I mean, it because we had a very funny situation that we remember the day that started raining and was a disaster, and everybody have to go out the desert because we were in risky. So, and we at the end we were in a gas station trying to find if we already made the scene, and we have to make it again. It was like almost 5 a.m. and I was with a lamp. I was getting sleep, and I remember that Lucy said to Jesse, "Leonard is sleeping," and I was outside the car. My action was only I was using the lamp, but for me was maybe my favorite one because I was so tired, and the only thing that I was doing was moving my hand. It's because the feeling that I had in that moment, because I remember I thought that we already finished the movie, that we didn't. So we have to retake the scene, and we were in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of that gas station. It was so funny moment. The feeling that I had maybe was my favorite one. And after when I see the movie, and I say when I saw see when I saw that moment on screen, I remembered all the previous thing that happened to make that small part of the movie, and I was moving only my hand, and you on screen you see the flashback, ¿cómo se dice? La luz atravesando la pantalla, los flares. Yeah, that was my
It took me a
favorite.
minute to remember what you're talking about. Okay, so we thought we wrapped because there was a huge like monsoon coming, right? We thought we were gonna get trapped in the desert, but we needed to get another shot. And so all they needed from you was your hand doing that with the flashlight. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a fun night.
Yeah, that was a great. Yeah, we basically finished the very last shot of the movie we got with no lights. We were using jackets and like a piece of paper to make diffusion. And Leonard was holding a flashlight because all the gear got left in the desert because the storm came through. But yeah, we needed one last shot. So it was like total finishing on the most indie film version ever. But it worked. It made it into the movie, that shot. So awesome.
I remember my last day too, like that. I mean, just being one of those long, I mean, it was middle of the night, really dark. I want to say we were down in the ravine, where I'm talking with Olivia above. It was like one of our last night, but
yeah, no, that was also really intense for sure. I mean, this whole movie was basically, I mean, every day was an incredible, like, going to battle basically.
We got it. That's true. It really was. You said we
yeah.
got it.
Well, and maybe on that, maybe some of the producers can chime up. What were your guys' most challenging days on set?
Sitting in the desert for 14 hours a day for 30 days in a row.
Oh my God.
I don't know about challenging, but one of my favorite days was the day, I think it's like one of the early scenes in the film where Lucy is looking at the flower. And then Jesse, you did this amazing shot where she stands up, you walk behind her, and it's the perfect shot that sums up the film to me. It's like this brooding character that's going through in this big landscape and this very interesting scenario that's happening, beautifully lit. That was one of my highlights for sure.
Yeah, and I think a similar day we had was when we drove up to the top of this mountain to get this last shot of Lucy kind of crying with the compass, and we kind of rushed up to get the sunlight at the last second. Everyone jumped into the back of pickup trucks and rushed up the mountain, that was really fun. That was a beautiful shot too.
Awesome.
For me, I arrived on the second week, and I'm not used to producing. It's fairly new for me to be a producer and to be on this backside of the camera and to observe and put on a different hat as an artist and be able to take in what all you guys were doing, what all the actors were doing, and be able to have that exterior viewpoint to see what really helps the script. So for me, being there was just such a great lesson. It was an education. It was incredible. And seeing Jesse, how you work as a director, and I mean, how intense you are and dedicated you are, and just so specific about exact movements. And watching Lucy, and it mostly is their scenes, Lucy and Olivia, how they were, her riding the motorcycle and pushing that bike and getting in place and doing these personal scenes together. It was very, and doing scene after scene, take after take after take. I'm like, damn, I'm glad I do voiceovers. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Olivia Trujillo, she's not here. She's shooting something, so she couldn't make it today, but she sends her vibes. I actually have a little, I changed my background earlier. Here, I'll bring it up there. So now she can.
Now she's with us.
Olivia's here in presence. Okay, well, so let's take a question from the chat. So we have some.
Morgan, thank you for joining.
Oh yeah, sorry, Morgan.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to you, Lucy, because I met you when I was like 14 years old, 15 maybe, and I have 18 now, and I have the picture with you.
Oh, I remember that day. I remember it from that outfit. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
And you're such an inspiration for me. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so
Thanks, Morgan.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you so much for being here from France, and everyone in France. The movie's out today, so go rent it, buy it. Thanks, Morgan.
Okay. Thank you.
Morgan.
Bye.
Bye, Morgan.
Bye.
Awesome. So we have a question on the chat about the music. So we have the Newton brothers who did our score. The question is from Rob, and it's how was the soundtrack so well crafted to move the audience through the experience? It was very well executed and definitely moving. Do you guys want to just talk about, Andy and Taylor, you guys want to talk about how you approach the score and kind of just break down some of that stuff, both the emotion and also maybe the actual instrumentation, all that kind of things?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the first thing we really wanted to was kind of enhance, obviously, with all the characters. I mean, the story was so emotional and personal. We really wanted to enhance that, all those moments. And the desert too, it was kind of its own character. So we really wanted to have the desert be sort of, you're in this environment and to feel that sort of sensation and the thrill of what could happen if something like this occurred. And and then of course, almost everything was live. So we spent a lot of time recording different players from across the world, and Jesse saw some of the orchestra play and perform, which was really fun. And it was just really kind of balancing, finding what the sound of the movie is with the amazing performances of all the actors. And we had, just a lot of support from the producers and Jesse, so it made it really, really easy. And am I missing something, Andy?
No, you're nailing all of it. I know there was definitely the first pass that I saw of the film, the scene, the scene with Lucy and Lanar talking about the wolf around the fire pit.
That was an amazing scene.
It was incredible because that really that's the place where you're on either side. You could be an attorney for either person at that point, and you see that they're both at it, similar. There's a scene in Heat where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro sit at a diner and is like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And you're going to do what you're going to do. And if you have to kill me, you kill me. That it had a similar vibe of the two of you, both giving your hearts to each other in this weird situation. And strangely, you feel for both of you. And you're it was really helpful in the music because I know, Jesse, you talked to us a lot about creating that tension without pointing a finger, right? But not being too ominous and not being too, not choosing a side. And so I know that we had a lot of fun playing with those ideas throughout. Sorry, I'm talking too much, so I'm going to mute now.
No, you're good. Cool. No, that's awesome, guys. Well, we'll get, I'm sure we'll get into music more too. We also have a question about editing. We have Luis here. So Luis is an incredible editor. He worked on Amaros Perros and Nombre, first two seasons of Narcos. We're really lucky to have him. There was a question around performances and how you approach a scene, Luis, in terms of where do you start when you start to go edit a scene?
Saludos, Luis.
Saludos, Jorge.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is obviously, especially in almost all movies, but especially in the COVID times, the actors never even really get to meet the editor. You know, they know the editor knows the actors so well because they're watching all the clips, all the outtakes, all the bitching about me probably on the mic. So Luis knows all these people so well, but they don't ever get to meet him. So it's great.
Yay, Luis!
Yeah, Luis.
Thank you. Well, that is absolutely true. And I was thinking on this scene that I really like, and I didn't have to cut too much. That's the scene where Guillermo finds the little plane, and I loved it because of how the camera works and how the actor Guillermo finds the thing, and then finds the little bullet. How do you say bullet cases?
Bullet. Yeah.
Shell, like bullet shells.
Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shells, exactly. Yeah. And then it's kind of like a little turning point in the movie where you just now know that he knows Leonard is with someone else and starts following the tracks. So I mean, I just wanted to share that with all of you guys. And regarding how I approach the scene by scene, I mean, obviously it depends on how the previous scenes were cut. While in production, I like cutting in order. Whenever I have a chance, I like to go from scene 1 to scene 100 and whatever. But oftentimes you have to start cutting while shooting. So you cut number 23 and then you cut 85 and then you go back to, you know. I mean, it's nice, but it's not as fun as when you're following the story, even when you read the script before and everything. But it's more fun to go like, oh, now this happened. Now let's go to see what happens with the next one. So you need to have a sense of pacing and rhythm, and then start trying to figure out who should have more weight on the scene and what is the purpose of the scene and what we're trying to accomplish, and then take it from there and follow your instincts.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, Luis, obviously we edited this very quickly, and you know, you watch the movie so many times, you start to kind of go crazy, but we always knew it was in the right direction. When we would, after watching it so many times, we would change something or, you know, do something different, and we would get excited about it. You know, that's when we knew kind of we were onto something for sure.
Yeah. But in this case, it started working right from the start, I think.
I don't know if do you guys remember the fact that probably the second cut you completely restructured and changed even the chase element of the movie. You guys had that scripted very differently, but when you got into actually cutting it, you, Luis, I think, and Jesse just decided to shift it and make it more of the physical chase, moving the scenes around a lot. I think that's always amazing, and you guys did an incredible job with that.
Thank you. And I work very closely with Jesse, as you obviously know, Damiano. But sometimes it's more the editor and the director does revisions and whatnot. But other times, like in this case, we kind of cut it together. You know, I was on the keyboard, but we were discussing things, and that's a funner way to do it for me.
I was laying on the couch telling Luis what to do while he was actually working and doing. No, Luis, it was so great to work with you on this. Awesome. So we'll keep moving on here. So we have a few more people that are joining now on video. So we have Gabby. I'll add her in here. She's an actress from Seattle who should be joining in 1 second. Gabby, are you with us? Gabby, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hey, I don't think we can see you, but we can hear you. But you're on with everybody. Do you have a question specifically for anyone? I know you're an actress from Seattle, so maybe it's an acting question, but go for it. You're on.
Yeah. Hi, I just want to say the movie was so amazing and thought-provoking. I love how the film really made you sympathize with the villain, but also let you see the evil in the protagonist. Just my question is, in the movie, both Eli and Tomas were running away from things they did not want to face. Would you say that though Tomas physically saved Ellie from Guillermo, Ellie also saved Tomas in a figurative sense, sort of like a who saved who situation?
Who's the question for, honey?
Anyone? Mainly Lucy Hale.
Lucy, go for it.
I'm sorry, you cut out towards the end. You said, did Tomas saved Ellie? Sorry, will you repeat the last part of that?
Yeah. So would you say that though Tomas physically saved Ellie from Guillermo, Ellie also saved Tomas in a figurative sense?
I think they both kind of helped each other. I think there's that scene in the movie, the fireside scene, where they open up to each other and they both admit that they're not where they want to be in life and they're running away from everything that's hurt them. And Tomas is in a career path that he feels like he has to be in to support his family and support his dad. And Ellie's just running away from her entire life. And I think that Tomas has that line, and I'm probably going to get it wrong. Leonard, you say, don't run like a lamb, run like a wolf. And I think it's like once they have that heart to heart, they realize how much they have in common. And I think that without realizing it, Tomas really, really helps Ellie. And I think that after that moment, she realizes everything has caught up with her. She has to deal with the death of her sister. She has to deal with her past life and all the mistakes she's made. So in a way, I think, yeah, Tomas helped her, saved her. And then obviously he saves her at the end when he lets her physically get away. But I think just from an emotional standpoint, I don't know if anyone else in Ellie's life could have gotten through to her in the way that Tomas did. I don't know if that answered your question. I just kind of went off on a tangent, but that's my answer. Thank you.
Yeah,
for the question.
thank you.
Cool. Leonard, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, but can you, Monique, give me the... ¿Qué fue lo que dijo?
¿Es la pregunta?
Sí.
Te doy la pregunta.
Sí, es que la última parte no la entendí.
Básicamente ella quiere saber si el character de Lucy salvó a Tomás o Tomás salvó a Ellie, y en el punto de vista tuyo, ¿cómo es que lo ves? Obviamente físicamente Tomás la salvó, pero en toda la peli.
Well, I think they both save each other. I mean, because in the moment that they talk about how they feel with their own life, they start a special connection and they understand many things that you are not saying with words, many things that you are saying with the feeling and the connection and the empathy. So in that way, the future is just a circumstance. Then, yeah, and then I think maybe in like a metaphor, Lucy saved him because there is a play that the Edward Albee Soul Story. This is a guy that comes to it's like the story like the guy that wants to die, but he needs someone to die. I mean, like a metaphor. Maybe this guy wants to be free, but in another kind of thought. And maybe he is trying to be free, but he doesn't want to die. No one's want to die, even the people that want to go to the heaven. But this guy, when he die, he doesn't have to do anymore this kind of shit or drugs. Maybe he's trying to find a solution, but at the same time, he feels that he is doing something good. He is trying to help someone else, even with his life. It's a very difficult position because he is available to accept any circumstance. So, and I think in that mood, they both save each other.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Gabby, thanks so much. We're going to move on just because we got to get a lot of questions, but thanks so much for chiming in. See you later. All right. Let's just take a question real quick. So Jorge, there was a question I saw earlier about filming during COVID. I think you had a fan from Narcos. What was it like to make something during COVID times? You want to speak about the production and all that, Jorge?
There you go. Well, it was hard. It was hard because it was new, basically, for all of us to work in those conditions, or for me, right? So it was hard, tough, getting used to cover your face all the time like we're doing right now, and stay away from people, and it's hard because making movies, I mean, you're always surrounded by people. You have makeup, which they're here all the time. You have wardrobe, a sound, even camera department. They're so close to you sometimes, and even I mean, all the actors were working together in the same space. What was good or helped, at least, is that we were in an open space. So there were no scenes like in a room, which makes it a little difficult because the situation, but it was open. So at a point it was like nice, and we felt like free because we could, work almost with no problem. And it was a good experience. I mean, nice experience to have. I mean, and we enjoy it. I enjoy it, and that's the. I mean, we got to see the result, so it was pretty cool at the end. But
all right, do you have a fun moment, a fun memory to share, or goofy memory, or anything like that from filming, even though it was tough during COVID?
Man, all I can remember is you dancing. I mean, I try to remember something funny, but it's just watching you dancing, do your steps. That was fun.
I have
He's
so
not saying
many
you're a good
videos
dancer.
of Jesse dancing on set.
He's not saying you're a good dancer. He's saying you're a funny dancer, Jesse.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a compliment, but I'll take it.
I have a question. So I have a picture with you. I think you have your pants down on your ankles and the medic doing something. That's a funny story that I feel like, the audience might want.
Yeah, we'll share that photo. We'll share that photo tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I think I banged my knee or something while running around trying to probably do something
dancing.
And yeah, we had this awesome set medic, and his cure for everything was just to spray this spray on your injury. So yeah, I just remember I had to take my pants down in front of the set and have him spray my knee. But yeah, we'll share that. We'll share that photo. It's pretty good. Awesome. Okay, so wait, we had a question from Nick real quick, which was what's it like working on a smaller movie versus TV? Nicholas Gonzalez.
I mean, very similar in the amount of time we had to shoot was like shooting an episode, right? Gosh, I don't know. What was nice is to get to really spend some time with the character, in a different way on TV, but with film, for one, I'll say I think Lucy would agree, it's kind of nice knowing your arc. A lot of times with stuff with TV, it's being thrown at you like a few days before you start shooting, and there's certain things you're like, had I known that, I would have played something totally different. And I think that's part of why they don't tell us, but at the same time, you can really I don't want to say have a plan, because I think you go into it and you're working with other people, you can't really plan a lot, but you can at least have your own journey in order, and then it's a matter of just kind of living it sometimes.
Awesome. Cool. So we're going to bring on Hadley, who is a filmmaker who has, I think, a question around music. Hadley, can you hear us? Hey, Hadley, we see you.
Hey.
Hey, Hadley. So I think you have a question specifically for the Newton brothers around the music, maybe?
Yes, I do. I have loved you guys' work in the past, and I know you guys use a lot of very distinctive instruments. I definitely could tell there was a lot of unique instrumentation I'd never heard before in this. So I guess, what were some unusual instruments that you found, or how was your process different in approaching this than it was on the other films, and what unique instruments did you find?
Oh, it's a great question. You know, early we had a good amount of time on this, and I think we did a bunch of research on sort of the Aztec. We wanted to play rather than it being so much more like Mexican. We wanted it to be more like more Indian, more of the desert, Native American. So we came up with a couple of cool stuff. One was this death flute. I don't know if you've seen it. It's, you kind of blow. It doesn't really make a lot of sound, but it's breathy and it, so we kind of experimented with a lot of weird stuff, and then we processed it. So it didn't sound like it was manipulated, but it was. So not everything in there is 100% organic. It's been treated and stuff. And, but it was all to just kind of yield an effect. Like when people are running and it's craziness, you'll hear these weird sounds that sound maybe like a voice, but it's like weird instruments and woodwinds. But you know, the whole idea was just to get tension or emotion kind of building or going. And I think that was really the drive for that, because of all those spaces of the characters being scared and then going. And so that's kind of, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I love the score you guys came up with. And like, yeah, I just think it really added a different and like unique tension to it that I don't think was inherently just going to be there, because it didn't feel like your typical sort of thriller in Mexico vibe. It felt very different and pulling from a lot of other instruments. So that's great to hear.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, you know, there was a couple of scenes specifically that just really like emotionally we felt connected to the character. And so it really kind of impacted us. So we try to start with a lot more of those scenes, the emotional scenes, and to kind of direct us where to go. So that was kind of, yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Andy, anything else to add there?
Oh, no, Taylor was a poet there, so I have nothing. Yeah.
Really.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Hadley, for the question. We'll let you go if you want to keep following along, but we appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Hadley.
Glad to watch the movie. Hadley was somebody who watched the movie here in LA in theater, so we thank you for that too.
Awesome.
Okay, we have a question from YouTube from Matt Lawrence. He says, Lucy's Ellie was affecting throughout, but Leonar's Tomas was so hostile and unpredictable at the beginning. I was surprised. I cared so much about him by the end. How did he do that transformation? So Leonard, and maybe Monica can help if it's not clear, but Leonard, how did you do that transition from Tomas as this scary guy at the beginning of the movie to someone we really felt really sad for, maybe when you were, spoiler alert, were killed at the end of the movie? And you're muted again.
Can we all appreciate how Leonard's dressed like Steve Jobs right now, by the way?
Leonard, you're muted. You're muted again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's all I have to say about that.
It was difficult because at the beginning, Tomas was so scared. So, and I thought that the perfect way to try to find this chain is imagine that someone that is having fear because he is flying this ultralight, and then he doesn't know anything, and he has to finish his work. And then maybe when Tomas made the real change is because he feels vulnerability. You know, he feels vulnerable in that moment when he knows that he is a vulnerable person because he connects with maybe deep feelings of himself. In that moment, he changed, and he is the real man that he is. You know, that was the way that I was using for try to get the chain from the beginning until the end.
That's awesome, Leonard.
Leonard, I meant to tell you, my mom is your biggest fan. No, she's like obsessed with you. So she thinks you're so amazing, and I told her I would tell you that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Say thank you to your mom.
She'll sign an 8x10 for him. For her.
Awesome. So, Lucy, Kelly M on YouTube has a question, which is, how did you prepare for the role for Ellie? You want to talk about that?
Well, we have a big thank you to Kate, the botanist. I had many a conversation with sweet Kate. I don't know her last name, but she was really helpful just from the point of view of the whole botanist thing. She helped us pronounce some words we didn't know how to pronounce, the scientific names of some plants. I think for me, like Nick, you said in TV, you don't usually know your arc. And so with this film, I knew why Ellie was moving to the desert. I knew what had happened to her. And so for me, it was just sort of getting, I couldn't relate exactly, obviously, to what Ellie was going through, but we all have something in our life that like destroys us or that we run away from or something that we're ashamed of or just pain in general. And so for me, I'd never really done a role that was so real and raw and tragic. And so I knew that most of my work here was sort of was within that world, just the pain that Ellie was living in. I mean, obviously I thought I prepared physically, but the first time I was like running around in the canyons, I realized I don't think I had prepared enough in that sense. But what I loved about Ellie's storyline is obviously she gets kidnapped, and that's really scary and really traumatic, but I wanted to play it so that that still wasn't the worst thing that had happened to her, because obviously you don't realize what happens to her sister until about midway through the movie. So really long story short, most of my work was just sort of tapping into the tragic world that Ellie had been living in for a year or so.
Awesome. Hey, and then let's see two more just real quick ones that are up here on screen, which is Denise asks, how do you transition between, like, so your last movie, The Hating Game, how do you go from rom-com to action, all this stuff, like just from an acting standpoint, I guess, you know, like what is it, how do you prepare, how's it different to kind of do these totally different types of roles you've done that have come out, at least for audiences, in the last, month?
You dye your hair a different color. No, for me, that's why I just freaking love what I do for a living, because I don't set rules for myself. I want to do everything. I want to dip my toes into all the different pools, wear all the hats. But what was crazy is I did BORREGO, and then I had a week off, and then I immediately went to go shoot The Hating Game, and they are obviously so different. And so it was a complete gear shift. Usually I like to have a little more time in between projects, but it just didn't work out that way. What was the question? How do you prepare?
Yeah, I think you answered, just like for the different types of roles.
Yeah, stop talking. Yeah, I mean, yeah, shut up, Lucy. You said enough. Well, I already explained how I prepared for BORREGO, but I think for The Hating Game, and I don't want to talk too much about that in a BORREGO Q&A, but I answered the question, right? I'm just going to stop talking about it.
Yeah, okay, all right. And I just wanted to shout out a few people who aren't here too, which is, obviously most of our crew is from Spain. So that's the middle of the night for them, or they're all working, so they couldn't join. So Octavio Arias, who was our cinematographer, obviously incredible, did an incredible job. So amazing to work with. For me, the desert was always supposed to be part of the landscape, was supposed to be basically a character of the movie, and Octavio and I were really on the same page from the beginning about that, in terms of just like how to actually capture this. But then also, we didn't use any lights, basically. I mean, during the daytime, no lights or movie kind of things. It was really just using the sunlight and figuring out what time of day could make sense, with our schedule. And at night, it was as little light as possible, and Octavio really was just a master at kind of figuring that out. So Octavio, Kike Enrique Guatemaro was our location scout. So, basically spent like a month in a car with him, just driving around the desert in Spain, trying to find these locations. And he was amazing. We found all these places that a lot of people hadn't even filmed in before, but he was just a rock star, also helping us figure out how to logistically get out there with all the gear and make this happen. Our production designer, Momi, but Carlos Arane is his real name, but we all call him Momi. Basically, you think a movie like this wouldn't have a lot of production design because there's really no sets or anything like that. But obviously, the cars are also kind of characters in this movie. But even the simplest props, whether it's the guns or the backpacks or all those kind of things, become so important in a movie like this. And he was so great at finding those things, obviously bring the crashed ultralight and all that stuff. But, again, with limited resource and budget. So just a shout out to him. Also makeup. So Natalia Montagna, she did our makeup, but also our special effects makeup. So like, if you see the movie, I think one of the things I'm most proud of is the look, especially on like Lanar, as he goes through the movie, the dust and the dirt and the blood and the scars and the scratches and all that stuff, on his body and on his face. Like, she did an incredible job with that. the stunt team, our Steadicam operator, yeah, and then of course the whole production team, Vagabond, all the team there. So I don't know if there's other people to give a shout out, but I just wanted to give a crew shout out to all those people that did. Monica, what do you?
Big shout out to Tiziano, who's not with us.
Yes.
He was on the ground the whole time in the production.
For sure.
Helped put it all to make it happen and backed up Jesse in a big way.
For sure, 100%.
One thing too, Jesse, that all the musicians we use, they really loved the actors a lot, and they were giving comments and all these little comments about the actors as they were playing. And so none of the actors really got to know that. And a lot of the musicians, they see they're on movies all the time. So I think it's a big compliment to all the actors how much they impacted everybody in all the scenes. Awesome,
that's great. Okay, so we're gonna bring on one last person, and then we can do a little wrap up if anyone has other things to share. So it's Krish, I think. Krish, are we saying that right? I think she's about to join. Yo, hey. Is it Krish? Is that how you say your name?
It's nice to meet you all. Congratulations, first of all, on the movie. I absolutely loved it. I'm actually living in Australia, so I had a friend from the US Zoom with me so that I could watch it. But Nick and Lucy, Nick, I've seen you in a lot of roles, and Lucy, I saw you in Life Sentence first, and then Pretty Little Liars. But random question for both of you. If you were stranded in the desert, what random item would you choose to bring with you?
I don't know why my mind automatically went to like a big jar of peanut butter, because that would last a really long time. That's my choice.
That is a nightmare without anything to drink. You're like,
oh, that's true. That's true.
What's the worst idea of something you can have in the desert? But
that would last you a long time. I could find some
water. Comes to mind, Krish. Water comes to mind. Although, a nice ice cold beer, nothing better than that.
Wow.
Just like a massive
beer.
Alcohol dehydrates you. I'm just saying to back up.
Yeah, alcohol.
Those are two terrible answers. You guys are both gonna die in like 30 seconds.
You guys should get like a Jeep Wrangler or something to get you out.
Oh, you can bring like a plane?
I mean, you didn't specify.
Three more wishes?
Nancy would bring popcorn, apparently. That's what she's saying. Yeah. Jorge, Leonard, what would you guys bring? Jorge's is going to be good, I can tell.
An ATV.
A blanket.
Oh, that's nice. It does get cold.
Jorge, I thought you were going to say a horse. From the show you just did. I was like, I'd bring a horse.
Yeah, that'll be so cool. But I get cold. So.
Jorge like me. Yeah, Jorge like me was always freezing in the desert. We each had like multiple layers of jackets. I bought a different jacket every weekend. I would go to the store and get a warmer jacket.
Leonard, I want to know what you bring.
¿Qué?
¿Qué trajeras en el desierto? La cosa más chistosa, rara, helpful.
¿Qué fue lo más chistoso que me pasó?
No, ¿qué cosa te trajeras al desierto? Si estuvieras solo en un desierto, ¿qué es algo que te trajeras que puede ser algo que no se espera?
Un Tetris.
Tetris. Okay. He didn't disappoint.
Because I need when I get stressed out, I start to play Tetris, and that really helps me. Even if I am having cool or whatever, you cannot imagine how relaxed I feel when I have stress. Yeah, it's like a meditation. I don't know if that's
Priorities.
I like it.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Krish, thank you so much. I guess, Lucy, I know you have to jump off in a few seconds, so we can start with you, and then we can just go around with everyone. But maybe everyone could just share last few comments about what they liked working on the movie, what they are excited about. Just any last comments. Everyone can have a free for all to share your, why you're excited or whatever. But Lucy, you go first in case you have to jump off.
Oh God. Okay. I mean, I feel like I've shared a lot of what I loved, but just to everyone on the Zoom, because I haven't seen some of you, and if you don't already know, I'm so grateful for what we did. We made a movie in the desert in the pandemic, and it's great. And I'm so proud of what the movie stands for. And I'm just full of gratitude, and I wish we could all be in person. I guess we did do the screening, but yeah, don't really have anything other to add other than thank you. Thanks to everyone who's supported it and watched the movie. And that's all. Signing off.
Yay.
Thank you, Monica.
Monica, you're up because you're clapping, so go for it.
No, I mean, it is absolutely miraculous that we took the shot, to do this film during the pandemic. It was super early on. And obviously, thank you to all of you guys for supporting the message of the film that Nancy and I are so, and Damiano and Tiziano, wherever he is. So, it's so important to us and doing these movies with messages that resonate and make people think. I'm just grateful that you guys thought that was a good idea and we did it together, so.
Awesome. Nancy, do you want to go playing off that? Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Kind of on the tail end of what Monica just said about my purpose, when Damiano presented us with the script and we read it, it just so touched on our hearts because it's so aligned with other thoughts that we have about what's happening on the planet today, and it just was beautiful. And I think, Jesse, the way that you wrote the script, everything kind of came together. And I mean, I wasn't familiar with you and your work before, but it's sort of kind of going into this blindly, and you as in terms of a writer and a director, which is not an easy thing to do for someone especially as young as you, and to pull in this cast and everybody was so committed. It was to me, this is a huge success in my heart. And going to the theater this weekend, everybody, it blew it away. Everyone was so impressed with how this film is just this little engine, and I think this thing can have some legs behind it. At least that's my idea. We make a change doing movies like this, so thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks
Guys,
for supporting.
I'm sorry, I have to go, but I love you guys so much. I'm sorry I have to get off 2 minutes early. I have to be on something at 7.
Bye, Lucy.
Bye, Lucy.
Love. Okay, bye.
Jorge, Nick, Leonard, do you want to, you have any thoughts to share when we'll get everyone real quick and then we'll wrap up?
Yes, I just want to say thank you again, guys. Thank you all, everyone involved in the project. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure getting to know you, all of you guys. And well, the guys that I didn't get to meet in person, I met them through the movie. Thank you so much, editor, music, everyone that I couldn't get to see. Thanks once again, Jesse. Thank you, Damiano. Thank you, Nancy, Monica. Thank you all of you guys.
Awesome. Nick, what about you?
It was just, I think I'm gonna echo the thing everyone else said, is that it was a pleasure from the get-go, not only Damiano bringing me the project, but then reading it and it's good. Damiano, it's good. How many of us have been given scripts and that it's something you really want to do? And, all the turmoil that it went through in the early days, and then getting relocated to Spain, honestly, was probably one of the best things that could have happened for us, because had I been going back and forth from, my house, here in LA to San Diego, and just kind of as I know I would have been able to, would just not have been the same sort of experiences. I really got to get to know everybody. Everybody was genuinely committed across the board, which again is so rare. Nancy, I can't believe this is, one of your initial forays into producing, because you wouldn't know it. I mean, your whole team, everybody was just so damn professional. I'd do it again with anybody involved in this project in a heartbeat, and I think what really the big difference was the respect I had for everybody going into it, because I was really fans of a lot of, the actors already. So it was exciting, I wanted to see what they were all going to do with it. And nobody disappointed in this film. So thank you.
Awesome.
Greg, thank you, Greg. Greg, also.
Yeah.
Greg boy.
Thank you.
Greg, while you're
Thanks,
up,
Jorge.
Greg, you want to share anything while you're up?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. This was definitely an interesting experience because Jesse and I actually met through Lucy, and Lucy and I had done another film together, and Jesse and I had scouted Southern California like 2 months before the pandemic started. And then the pandemic started and we kind of just like dropped off for a while and then picked it up. We went to Spain. We got denied from our flights. We couldn't go to Spain. Delta wouldn't let us go to Spain.
American. Don't blame Delta.
Yeah, don't blame Delta.
Oh, it was American. Sorry. American. No, but I think it was a really special experience because I think we all came out of this period of not working for a while and being isolated. And I think everyone really came together in a really special way. And the teamwork was just like really, really great. And I appreciate everyone on this Zoom call. Everyone came together in a really, really difficult time to make this happen. And I'm grateful for everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, we definitely couldn't have done it without you. Leonard, do you want to share something? Last thing?
I just want to say thank you guys for making possible this project. It was a pleasure to know you, everyone. Yeah, I really feel grateful. Thank you.
Awesome, Leonard. You killed it. And Luis and Andy, Taylor, Dami, do you have anything else to share? Luis, what about you? Yeah, you're up, Luis.
Sorry, something popped up and I had to cancel it first. Personally, I was very grateful of the cast that you guys were able to pull off, because not only the cast and the connections between the characters, those work really well. Like for something that is not common a lot, but for example, the connection between father and daughter was lovely, and the connection between obviously Lucy and Leonard's character Tomas, it's also great. There's a bunch of connections in the characters, so I was very grateful for that, and obviously the process we had together.
And lots of gratitude from us. I know. I mean, we come in towards the end of the process, but we rely on every single person that is on here and some of the people that aren't on here to attempt to do whatever we're going to do. And it was an absolute pleasure to just be able to work on this with all of you across the board. So thank you all, because you've all been in the room with us for hours and hours. So thanks to every single one of you.
Yeah, I'll second that across the board and just say, Jesse, thank you for coming up with a concept that allowed us all to rally behind and really push something special out into the world. I think that's the key when you're putting a team together to make a film. If you make something that everybody can support and get behind, it is the difference between independent film and film just for straight business, right? You have that passion and that drive and that motivation that makes all the long hours and the time away from the family all worth it. So thank you for starting that and getting this whole team ultimately together to support that. And I think we should all be very proud. Film's doing great, and it's a good one.
Yeah, no, thank you. And to everyone who's watching or will watch this later because it's recorded, thank you for coming out for us and being these fans, because this still is a very small little movie, with really no money behind it, pushing it, marketing it, and we just it's only being successful so far because of everyone watching it and rating and all that stuff. So we really appreciate it, and keep telling your friends and keep sharing it. But
it'll keep coming out. Right now, it's gonna, over the next couple of months, go to all the missing territories. I know we're getting a lot of questions on that, so it's gonna keep coming out all over the world.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think that's it. Unless there's anyone else that didn't get to share last things, but yeah, thank you all for being part of this and for tuning in. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good
night.
Bye.
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 Cheers.